In this video, I'm doing a position analysis from the 2023 UBC Ultimate Backgammon Championships final between Sander Lylloff and Mochy, Masayuki Mochizuki. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy this video. Please like and subscribe and you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Please let me know what you think in the comments below and what you'd like to see in future videos so I can work on that. Thank you to Marc Olsen and the Backgammon Galaxy team for allowing me to use this position in the video. My book, Backgammon Backgame Strategies, is available. There's a link in the description to where you can get it. And if you're interested in lessons, please contact me via email. My email address is in the description. So this is the position from this position analysis video. They were playing on the beautiful Backgammon Galaxy Void board with the new Casio inlay. The inlays can be changed with the orange and light blue checkers. So this is the position. So this is the position. Sander Lylloff is playing the orange checkers at the bottom, and Mochy is playing the blue checkers at the top. This is a 7-point match. Sander leads 3-0. So 4 away, 7 away. The cube is in the middle. Mochy has a checker on the bar, and this is the position. So look at the position, and Mochy is on roll, and it's a doubling decision. So think about whether you would double as blue, and if you were orange and double, whether you would take. I'll pause the video for a moment, think about what you would do, and in the meanwhile, there is a link in the description to the exact moment where this occurred, so you can see exactly what happened in the match. Okay, so with any doubling decision, you need to determine what your market losers are. A market losing sequence is a sequence of 2 rolls, one by you and then by your opponent, that after which, if you double, it would be a pass. But before, it's a double and a take, or perhaps a no double. So it goes from a take to a pass. So think about all the good rolls for yourself and all the bad rolls for your opponent. So here from the bar, it's oftentimes very difficult to double because you're on the bar. However, blue does have some threats. For example, hitting this checker is really strong, and even if blue comes in and does not hit, blue may be able to extend the prime over here or hit another checker. You see, blue has 1 checker on the bar and 2 other checkers back. Orange has 3 checkers back. Blue has a 3-point board with a solid 3 prime. Orange has a 2-point board with a broken 3 prime and a blot in the board. Additionally, blue has slotted the back of the prime, so it can be extended with a 6 or a 1. So these are all the things that you want to think about. So let's take a look. This is the answer. It turns out to be a double, but a very easy take, actually, at this score. And this has to do with both the position and the score, and we're going to look at both of those factors in a moment. So this is the dice distribution graph you can get on XG if you go to the dice distribution and click on graph. This is for the first roll. So this is how all the first rolls play for blue. So this is double 3. You see all these that are greater than 1, and you select after double take, you lose your market. After a double 3, a double 1, a 3-1, a 5-1, 4-1, 6-1. So all of these, and you actually lose it by a lot. And we'll look at that more specifically in just a moment. This is a list. So these are all those rolls and how they play. And when it's greater than 1, this is green, and you're going to lose your market by a lot on these rolls. So you see by over 300 millipoints on a double 3 and so forth. This roll is played a little bit differently because the ply of analysis was different for this versus the other one. But you see, you get a lot of good rolls. This is the second roll. So you can see the second rolls. These are Orange's next roll. So for example, if orange is on the bar and gets hit and rolls a 6-4 or a 5-4 or a 6-5 or a double 5 or double 6, basically lost your market. So you can see the market losing rolls for both you and your opponent. So your rolls are the first rolls, your opponent's rolls are the second rolls. So let's see how all of those rolls play. Not all of them, but the top ones. So if you double here and then you roll a double 3, this is how it's played. You come in with 1, you make the prime, and you hit loose. And that results in this position. Now you have a very strong position. You have a 3-point board with both with a solid 4 prime and both ends of it slotted, whereas orange has 1 on the bar, 2 back here. It's only a 2-point board with a blot on the board and a very weak position. You're going to win a lot of gammons here. If you do the same thing, double and roll a double 1, it's played like this. You come in with the 1 hitting 1 checker, and then you hit the second one loose on the bar, and now there's 2 checkers on the bar. Again, blue has a very strong position and is going to win a lot of gammons. Look at the 3-1. The 3-1 is played like this. You come in with the 1 and hit loose with the 3, and that results in this position. Again, 2 on the bar, very strong and commanding position. With 5-1, similarly, you come in and you hit loose the other way, resulting in this position, another strong position. And 4-1, similarly, you do the same idea, come in, but this time you hit with the 4, resulting in this position. So these are the market losing sequences. This does look like an equity heat map for 2 rolls, but it's not. These are only the market losing sequences. So these are all of blue's rolls displayed at the top, and then orange's following rolls displayed on the left. And these are the sequences. So if you don't lose your market, so if the equity is less than 1, the cell is going to be red. If you lose your market, so the equity is 1 or more, the color of the cell will be white to green. The darker the green, the more you're going to lose your market by. If it's white, you're barely going to lose your market, but if it's dark green, you're going to lose your market by a lot. So you saw, for example, when you roll a double 3, that's this column. You see how much dark green there is. You're going to lose your market by a lot. And then those other times when you roll like a double 1 and then the opponent dances or rolls something bad, it's here with the double 1. This is a 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, all those ones that we discussed. So you're going to lose your market by a lot on many of these sequences. Despite the fact that you don't lose your market on a lot of the other times, you're going to lose your market by a lot. So that's important. This one shows only the jokers. So it takes away the red and basically shows all the jokers. So this is the same kind of thing, but sometimes it's a little easier to see. So if you roll those 1s and then your opponent dances, those are here. And the darker it is, the more of a joker it is. And we can also see the anti-jokers. Those are the opposite. So if you dance by rolling a double 5, a 6-5, a 6-5 is duplicated here by another column, and a double 6. Those are all very bad. And there are other sequences that are bad for you too. So these can be displayed in the 2-roll dice distribution. Okay, so looking at this, this is what happens. It's a correct double, but it's a correct take. Now, let's look at what happens here. Okay, so we're looking at some variance now. So in the original position, this is the original position. You're shooting at a blot here. Let's see what happens when there's no blot. So this is what happens when there's no blot. It becomes a big no double. So that means the fact that there was a blot to shoot at is very important. This is what you do. When you want to understand the position, you make some variance and you see how big things change and you see what are the important features there. Now, let's keep the blot here, but remove one of the checkers from the 8-point, putting it back to the midpoint. It's still a double, but it's not as strong. Now let's see what happens when you take off the checker from the 7-point. Now it's no longer a double. So that means this checker that was here was important because it allows you to extend the prime with a 6 here. You cannot extend the prime here. You could make a broken 5 prime with a 5, but that's not nearly as strong as a solid prime. So that becomes a small no double. Now let's say there's no blot here and this checker is all the way out here. Now it's not a double. So that indicates that the fact that there's a blot here that you can either hit or counter prime by making one of these points is important. You can have 3 behind the prime. Now, look what happens when you split these 3 checkers. It's still a double and a take, but it's a much weaker double. The reason is because when you have these 3 split, if you were to get hit with this one and not hit elsewhere, you have multiple different ways of making an anchor by rolling a 3, a 2, or a 1. Or if you were hit twice, you can anchor with a 2 or a 1. So that's important. Now, if you move the anchor from the 24 point to the 23 point, now it becomes a no double. That makes a big difference because it's much harder to prime here. When these 2 checkers were back here and you make your 7 point, these are blocked. 6s cannot come out. So they don't see daylight. But over here, if they're on the 23 point or blue's 2 point, and you still make blue makes the 7 point, they can still come out with a 6. So that is important. That makes it a no double. So those are the variants we looked at. Again, this is the original position, and we're going to look at some more details of this. Specifically, look at what happens with the gammons. Blue is going to win a lot more gammons. Blue is winning 62% of the time here, and orange 38% of the time. Normally, that's not good enough to be able to double. However, the difference in gammons is big. So blue is winning 25% gammons, and orange only 12%, more than twice as many gammons for blue. And gammons are in general, much more important for the trailer than the leader in a match, in particular at this score. You look at the gammon value when it's doubled. When the cube is on 2, blue's gammon value at 7 away, 4 away, which is the score here. 3-0 is the equivalent to 4 away, 7 away. So blue is 7 away, and the gammon value is elevated. It's greater than 0.5, which is that for money. So blue is going to get a lot of value on a gammon because blue will get from 7 away to 3 away, and leading 3 away to 4 away is a big improvement. The other thing is recube vigorish. So that has to do with the value that orange will have by owning the cube. So how much added value will orange have by owning the cube and being able to be to redouble later? In this case, it's not that much because blue is 4 away. If blue redoubles to 4, if orange redoubles to 4, blue has an automatic redouble to 8. So that's going to be for the match. And when blue wins 8 points, only 7 of them count. So there's 1 point of wastage or overage, which is not all that much, only 1/8 of it. So because of that, the vigorish is not that strong for orange. You can calculate that by looking at the cubeless equity after double here and the cube full equity after the correct cube action here. When you subtract these two, you'll see here, it's 0.832 minus 0.759. So the value of cube ownership is 0.073. What you do is if you multiply this by 100 and divide it by 4, that gives an extra added virtual winning chances for orange. That's beyond the scope of this talk, but this amount of recube vigorish is very low. And we'll look at it, what happens at different scores, because to determine if the score is important for a doubling decision or even a checker play, you're going to want to vary the score. And instead of making a positional variant, you make a score variant to see what happens. So let's look at money. So for money, it's not a double and a take, even with the Jacobi rule in effect. And look at the reason why. The equity here, cubeless, is much more than the equity cubeful. So the recube vig is much higher. This was 281 here, 281 millipoints, whereas before it was only 73. That's much more. So orange will have much more power holding the cube. So blue does not want to give it away quite yet in a money game. Now let's look at another score, the tied scores in a 7-point match. So this is 0-0 to 7, 7 away, 7 away. This is a small no double, because the opponent has a very high recube vigorish. You see, 811 minus 513 is 298. That's huge, because if he redoubles and wins a gammon, he gets 8 points, and that's only one more than 7 that he needs. Now let's look at 608, 608, 1, 1 to 7. Now it's a very small, borderline no double, but the recube vigorish is very high. What happens is there's more overage when you win 8 points, and you're at 1. So you get 9 points, so that's 2 points of overage. Now let's look at 508, 508. It's also a no double. And here, still, the recube vig is high, but not quite as high. So it's a small no double. And then at 408, 408, this becomes interesting. The reason is because a double gammon wins the match for blue. However, look at the recube vig that orange has. If orange is able to turn it around, he can redouble, kill all of blue's gammons, kill his own gammons, and it becomes DMP. So he's just playing for the match. And 62-38 is not that big for this kind of a score. So you have to be careful. What about other scores where blue is trailing? So now let's give blue 1 point. So now instead of being 7 away, 4 away, it's 6 away, 4 away. Here what happens is it's still a double, but he has more of a recube vig here. The reason is because when orange redoubles blue and blue automatically redoubles for 8, he's going to get less value, because he's going to only get 6 points value out of those 8, because he'll have 2 points of overage. So there's a little bit more recube vig as compared to 4-away, 7-away. Now let's give blue 2 points. So blue is 5 away, 4 away. And now the recube vig becomes high. At 5 away, 4 away, the leader's take point is lower than the trailer's take point. And what that means is, even though you're leading, you can take more than when you're trailing. The reason is because a doubled gammon wins you the match with perfect efficiency or no overage. Or if you redouble and win a single, that wins the match perfectly for you. So that's what happens at 5 away, 4 away. So these are more complicated when you're thinking about doubling decisions. These are the tips for this position. You want to consider your market losing sequences. What are the rolls for you that are good? For example, in this position, the ones that hit, or a lot of the rolls that double hit or prime. And the rolls for your opponent that are bad. So if you hit your opponent and the opponent dances, those are bad. You want to count how many shots you have. So there were a lot of shots, and also there were a lot of double hits or things that you can do that are very strong. Count how often your opponent dances if you hit. So against a 3-point board with 1 checker on the bar, 25% of the time you dance. And when you have 2 checkers on the bar, it's a much higher percentage of time. 75% you come in with at least 1, but sometimes you only come in with 1 and not both. The other thing is the score is an important consideration. At lopsided match scores, especially the trailer wants to double more aggressively than the leader in general, you do want to think about recube vigorish. So when your opponent is at 4 away and you send an initial double, it's very difficult for the opponent to redouble if your score is 7 away or much more away, because then he's going to turn it back automatically for the match. But if your score is 5 away or 6 away, you're going to get overage on that 8 points, so it's not going to be as valuable to you. And as always, you want to examine variance, both positional variance and score variance. So modify the position to see what are the key factors that are important in the doubling decision, and also if the score is important and relevant, as was the case here, you want to change the score, adjust it, see what happens. Sometimes the value of owning the cube is important, so you can look at those numbers, the recube vigorish. You're not going to necessarily calculate these values over the board. However, it does give you an idea of how valuable the cube is for you and how valuable it is for the opponent. you want to think about overage, any additional points that your opponent or you will have on a cube. So if you need 7 points and you get 8 points, that's 1 point of overage. So that's wasted. Okay, if you have 2 points of overage, it's even worse. The more overage you have, the worse it is. So you need to think about all of those things. So that was the position analysis from the 2023 Ultimate Backgammon Championship UBC Finals between Sander Lylloff and Masayuki Mochizuki. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Please let me know what you think in the comments below and what you'd like to see in future videos so I can work on that. Thank you again to Marc, Olsen, and Backgammon Galaxy for allowing me to use this position in the video. My book, Backgammon Backgame Strategies, is available. There's a link in the description to where you can get it. And if you're interested in lessons, please contact me via email. My email address is in the description. I look forward to seeing you in future videos, and until then, keep rolling your dice.